Chapter 1-2. Cologne, Germany. Pride is a young man who, along with his family, fled their war-torn homeland several years ago and sought refuge in Germany. He was one of the lucky few who had grown up in this area since childhood, so learning the language came easily to him. It was like second nature, just as it is for everyone else in the community. Pride is a 20-year-old who has just graduated from high school. He is now pursuing his dream of becoming a teacher by enrolling in a university. When Pride isn't studying, he enjoys watching anime. Some of his favorites are One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, and Bleach. He also enjoys reading manhwa and novels to relax. You know, sometimes you get into situations where you're up to date episodically and need a different kind of entertainment. And Pride believes that manhwas, as well as novels, provide an ideal backup. Now, before we go off topic. Additionally, Pride has 2 younger sisters. And he couldn't refuse when one of his sisters begged him to accompany her to a concert. As fate would have it, Justin Bieber was giving a concert near their hometown that weekend, and Pride's sister was obsessed with him. Getting tickets to a Justin Bieber concert a few days in advance is usually impossible, but Pride's sister had planned ahead and ordered the tickets in advance, knowing that her brother would eventually agree to go with her. A few days later. La 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 la. La 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 la. Unable to say no to his sister, Pride found himself in the festival hall, surrounded by enthusiastic fans dancing to the rhythm of the music. The young woman asked Pride, "What do you think of the music?" She was perfectly in harmony with the rhythm. "Natasha, you know that I don't like his music and that I'm only here for you," Pride shouted into his sister's ear, doubting that she would be able to hear him any other way. "Thanks." After a few hours, the concert ended, and everyone gradually left the premises. "Phew, it's finally over," Pride exhaled, his relief evident in his voice as he discreetly patted his sister on the back. "You don't have to like it, you just had to accompany me since I knew Mom and Dad wouldn't let me go otherwise, hee, she giggled, as they walked towards the parking lot. They both found themselves in Frankfurt, which was located approximately 2 hours away from their hometown. Considering how challenging parking in big cities can be, one could only imagine the difficulties that would arise when a popular artist like Justin Bieber is performing. I may not like him, but one has to admit that he has achieved almost everything in life. As they searched for a parking spot, they realized that almost all the available spaces were occupied, and they had to leave the car in a rather remote location. Pride estimated that it would take them almost 25 minutes to reach their car from where they were. Step. Step. Pride and Natasha approached their car's parking space. Unfortunately, Pride was unable to choose a specific route, as he was relying on GPS to find the quickest path back to their car. As a result, the navigation system took them through dark alleyways that literally screamed, "Run away, it's dangerous here." As they made their way through the unfamiliar alleyways, they both felt a sense of unease when they noticed 3 men standing on a nearby sidewalk. The men appeared to be refugees, and their presence only added to the feeling of discomfort that Pride and Natasha were experiencing. "Pride, I'm afraid, let's walk faster," Natasha whispered to her brother, her voice quivering slightly with fear. It should be noted that Pride's family are themselves immigrants who sought asylum to escape the ravages of war. However, as with any immigrant population, there are always 2 types of people, those who appreciate being accepted and work hard to build a new life, and those who seem to cause trouble and are avoided by most. It can be difficult to understand why the latter group remains in the country, but they exist nonetheless, and their presence can often create a sense of unease or tension in the community. Natasha was a stunningly beautiful young woman, with tan skin, long black hair, bright blue eyes, and an enviable figure. As they passed by the 3 men, Pride couldn't help but notice that they were staring at his sister with a mix of admiration and curiosity. While some might have taken this as a compliment, it only served to increase the siblings' unease given the circumstances. The 3 men rose from their seats, seemingly drawn to Natasha's beauty, and followed her with their eyes as she walked away. "Come on, let's go," Pride said, his voice urgent. He grabbed Natasha's hand and started walking quickly, his eyes darting around nervously. "I don't like the look of these guys. We need to get out of here." In their haste to escape, Pride forgot to check the GPS, and soon they were walking into unfamiliar territory. Fear began to creep up on them as they realized they had no idea where they were going. "What have you done, Pride?" Natasha exclaimed, her voice rising in panic. "We're at a dead end. There's nothing but a wall in front of us." "Shit!" Pride cursed, spinning around to see the 3 men standing not far away, their eyes fixed on them. Pride's heart sank as he realized the men were speaking in a language he didn't understand. His stomach churned as he noticed the men standing in front of them, their eyes never leaving them. Even worse, they were licking their lips as they spoke, which was a clear indication of their malicious intent. "Pride," Natasha said, her voice trembling. "I think they want to do something to me." The 3 men were slowly advancing towards them, their eyes never leaving Natasha. Fear began to grip Pride as he realized they were in serious danger. As the three men approached, Pride's heart raced. He silently thanked God that they weren't carrying any weapons, as it gave him a glimmer of hope that they could still get out of this alive. Aside from the occasional visit to the gym, Pride had no experience in martial arts and he knew he was no match for the three men. He was desperately hoping for a way out of this situation. "Natasha, stay here," Pride said, pushing her behind him protectively. He was determined to do whatever it took to keep her safe. Once again, the three men were talking to each other while keeping a small distance between them, which was probably one of their tactics, or a coordination. "Step. Step. You belong us today," he grinned one of the approaching men with slightly open arms. Drawing on his limited knowledge of martial arts and the lessons he had learned from watching action movies, Pride got into a fighting stance, ready to take on the three men. Pride's fighting stance was far from perfect, but it served its purpose. He remembered his colleague's advice about boxing: always pay attention to your opponent's hand and position yourself on their strong side, so they can only swing with their weak hand. He quickly adjusted his stance accordingly. It didn't make any difference though, as two men rushed at him at the same time, while the other pounced on his sister. "Natasha!" Pride shouted, dodging a punch from one of the men. The man took advantage of Pride's distraction and swung his right fist, punching him in the face and sending him crashing into the wall. Pride felt a sharp pain in the back of his head as he slumped to the ground. Pride was on the brink of passing out, but he could still make out one of the men on top of Natasha, tearing her clothes off. "He sleep, we now have fun with you, hee. You first or me or Lakshash? Hee, we all say make moment. Get up, Pride." Natasha screamed, tears streaming down her face as she desperately tried to fight off her attackers. Pride, spurred on by his sister's desperate screams, struggled to his feet. Pride was on his feet, but his steps were unsteady. He had probably suffered a concussion when he hit his head earlier. With no time to think, Pride lunged at the attacker on the right, the one furthest from Natasha, and grabbed him by the throat. "I am afraid I cannot answer that question. I have only been instructed by the Almighty to pass on to you the information that is appropriate to you. You are currently in the world of One Piece. I will disappear soon. That means you won't be able to hear my voice anymore. But you are a lucky one. Not only have you been brought here, but you'll have the chance to choose your template and a devil fruit that hasn't been eaten yet before my final departure. This is interesting. Just when I was thinking that I would have to live in a time when the pirates would be much stronger and would not commit piracy just for the sake of finding the One Piece, but rather for the pleasure of killing, robbing, and abusing people, I am told that I have a variety of choices. Note that this selection only includes characters that existed in all eras of the One Piece world. Selectable character templates: Beach Capone, Sabo, Ryuma, Akiji, Shanks. I can rule out Beach Capone right away. He's quite weak. Sabo might become very strong later on, but I think he's still pretty weak. So he's out too. Akiji may have a strong body, but he is quite dependent on his devil fruit. And it's not absolute. Maybe the Hi no Mi is already taken. Ryuma. In my previous life, there were rumors that he was one of the strongest swordsmen of his time. He was also said to be the only one who had ever killed a dragon. I don't have enough information. Maybe he wasn't as strong as he was thought to be, and I would be making a mistake with that. In the case of Shanks, at least, I know that he will be born in 15 years' time and will be one of the 4 emperors in the canon. There has also been speculation in some discussion forums that he may have reached a level of power comparable to Gol D, Roger and Silver's Rayleigh himself after the time skip. I'll take the template of Shanks. Ding. Shanks's template was successfully selected. You will gradually acquire more of his memories of combat and techniques as you reach certain milestones. However, you will not be able to acquire any of his personal details and memories. To prevent the two personalities from getting mixed up, I think that's even better. You may choose a particular devil fruit, but you will still suffer the curse of the seas. You can choose between Paramecia, Logia, and Zoan. I was in love with a devil fruit back then, hopefully, it hasn't been eaten yet. Please switch to Paramecia selection. Ding. Paramecia devil fruits that are in existence. If there is a cross between them, then it means that the devil fruit in question has already been eaten. Gura Gura no Mi, X. Mochi Mochi no Mi. Op Op no Mi, X. Fuwa Fuwa no Mi, X. Sub Sub no Mi. Zushi Zushi no Mi. There it is. That's the devil fruit I wanted so badly. And it hasn't been eaten yet. I'm sorry, Fujitora. You'll have to deal with it. I choose the Zushi Zushi no Mi. Ding. Zushi Zushi no Mi has been selected. Please note that you will only receive the devil fruit with no experience or memory of how to use it. You must gain the experience yourself. It doesn't matter. I still have quite a few memories about the use of the Zushi no Mi. The ones I was able to pick up from Fujitora in the anime. For the rest, I guess I'll have to experience it myself. This is somewhat understandable. Over the next few minutes you will have your first memories of Shanks, his training, and the gradual acquisition of his powers. In addition, there will be a panel on which your progress and status will be displayed. This panel will appear in front of you when you think about it. The devil fruit is located in your system space. After waking up, think briefly about the devil fruit and it will appear in front of you. After that, however, the system and the pocket space will disappear completely. You will no longer be able to store any items. Was everything understandable so far? Yes, it was. Then I would advise you to go and lie down on the bed. You will soon be unconscious for several hours. Then I wish you every success in your future life. After that, I promptly passed out and drifted off into my dreams. The attacker was taken aback by Pride's sudden attack. The sight of the young woman standing there, her clothes already slightly torn, was all these people could focus on. Pride, unwilling to delay any longer and eager to eliminate the attackers quickly, took an action he probably thought he could never pull off. Something he had learned to be quite painful. The attacker had both arms around his throat, trying to get out of the situation. But Pride used his right hand and stabbed him in the eyes with his peace fingers. Arg. Breath in. Breath out. Only 2 more to go. As Pride backed away from the screaming figure, he picked up a slightly larger stone from the ground. He intended to use it as a weapon against the attackers. The other 2 attackers, having seen what happened, separated themselves. One stayed with the woman while the other looked after the man. After all, they didn't want their prey to escape. Wash. Wash. Pride gradually regained his composure. His head was bleeding profusely, but he managed to dodge the blows. Dodging another blow, Pride caught the right moment. With all his might, he smashed the stone into the attacker's face. The latter collapsed to the ground, presumably having passed out. With blood running down his face. Natasha, Pride muttered as he approached the last of the attackers. Anger rose in him as he saw his sister sobbing in nothing but her bra and torn clothes. The attacker ended up stomping hard on Natasha's stomach, causing her to double over in pain and scream in agony. Probably to prevent her from escaping in the short term while he finished off her brother. You goddamn. Hee hee hee, laughed the last attacker as he pulled out a knife. Pride got a sour feeling when he saw the knife. Even though he had seen a lot of videos on how to defend yourself against a knife attack, they were still just that, videos, and he had never actually been in a situation like this before. When you also consider that he was pretty banged up, it only made things worse. Natasha, I'll distract him. Run as fast as you can. Pride shouted. Arg, but it hurts so damn much, Natasha replied. Besides, I'm not leaving you. Listen to me. As soon as you can move, get out of here. His assailant was fed up with listening to Pride. He kept coming at him, but Pride managed to dodge him time and time again. But at some point Pride slowed down. Eventually, the knife stuck to his chest. He fell on his back and didn't move. Pride. Stop it, cried Natasha, who had tried to escape a few moments earlier, only to be dragged back by her hair and thrown to the ground. Pride, subconsciously aware of the cries and voices, somehow managed to get back up on his feet in time. Maybe it's the adrenaline, or maybe it's because his younger sister was going to get raped star. No one knows. Slowly but surely, Pride was back on his feet. The perpetrator seemed to be concentrating on taking care of business. He didn't notice that someone was slowly approaching him. Pride pulled the knife out of his chest, avoiding any screams, and charged at the very last one of them. Argh, die, 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 yelled Pride, plunging the knife into the unsuspecting foe's chest. Blood oozed from every imaginable place. But Pride didn't bother to stop, he kept on stabbing. Eventually, Natasha pulled herself up and began to cry, clutching tightly onto Pride's hand. Sniff sniff. He's already dead, Pride, that's enough. Pride let go of the knife and turned to face his sister, gently clutching her face with his bloodied hands. Natasha, I have lost too much blood. I probably won't survive. Don't forget. I love you and the rest of our family. Tell them that. Tell them. Cough. Cough. Those were Pride's last words. He lost consciousness and fell onto his sister, a faint smile on his face. Pride. Pride POV. I recall the incident vividly. I was trying to protect my little sister. Unfortunately, I am sure that I died. But I am grateful that I have at least saved the life of my little sister, Natasha. Knowing that she is alive gives me great comfort, even though I am no longer among the living. But how do I know that I am a person who has died, you may ask? Simply by being in another place now. Pure darkness is all that I can perceive. There is nothing beyond that. It was actually quite strange. I used to think that when you die, somehow an angel is going to come and exempt us from our souls. Or that you would be judged as to whether you would go to heaven or to hell. However, none of the above happened. Except that when I died I landed in a room of pitch darkness. I concluded, I no longer had my 5 senses. Unless I had gone mad. And this room was just preventing me from using them. Whether I had been here for hours, days, weeks, or years, I had no idea. I lost track of time completely. Occasionally I did a mental count of the seconds, but from time to time, I was out of rhythm. I do not know exactly how much time passed after that. But at some point, I lost what little consciousness I had. I regained my sense of direction, but for some unknown reason, I had a headache. Wait, my head was hurting. I experienced that I still have a head through my hands. Does this mean that I am not dead? How is this possible? As these thoughts lingered deep within me, I realized that I had only tiny hands. I jumped to my feet abruptly and discovered that I was in a room. There was a bed, wardrobe, and mirror. It looked rather medieval in design. I approached the mirror. I wanted to see whose body I had taken over. I was a little overwhelmed. I was in front of my mirror image from many years ago. My exact self, actually, when I was 10. I had, as I did then, medium-length black hair, blue eyes, and lightly tanned skin, and was 1.50 meters tall. But how is that possible? And why haven't I met this so-called God who exists in most transmigration stories? Well, why have I been sent here without any information at all? I haven't even been given the memories of the person I've taken over from. And where the hell am I exactly? Pride, will you come down now? Dinner will be ready any minute. Who is that? With all my strength I held my head with both hands because of the pain I was feeling. Probably my hateful words are the cause of my present predicament. Whatever it was. The pain was enormous. It was as if someone had the intention of splitting my skull in two. Suddenly, memories of the previous owner came flooding back. But so did the pain. South Blue. Centauria. The calendar year 1470. Grandpa Ray. He has been watching over me for what seems like an eternity. It seems that he discovered me as a baby near a forest. Since he could not leave a baby to die, he adopted me. However, I not only got to remember, but I also got to feel what Pride felt, which made me love Grandfather Ray. Indeed. Pride, not only do I resemble my old self, no, but Grandfather Ray also told me that when he found me, he also found a necklace tied around me, which said that my name was Pride. The main question is someone playing a prank on me? Otherwise, I have no explanation for what is happening right now. It was just as I was trying to piece the memories together that I heard a voice that did not belong to me or to Grandfather Ray. Soul hashtag 72,832,272,218 Congratulations, you were chosen to transmigrate into the world of One Piece. Just who the hell are you? And why me?